Hello everyone! This hour on Verbling, the next in my Hot Topic series, we're doing today's Hot Topic, Back Up Your Brain. How do you want to be remembered? As one journalist discovers, and we're going to read his article today, we might eventually be able to preserve our entire mind for generations to come by uploading it to the internet. Would you do it? Come on in, find out how, and let's talk about whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. What are the implications? So, digital immortality on today's Hot Topics. That's a little bit about the class. Here's a bit about me. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. Tune in to the new words and the new expressions that you're learning. Use them as actively as you can so that I can correct you and give you feedback. Finally, open up. Open up to your classmates, relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And now I am going to share the material with you on screen. Give me just a second. And there we go. And you have the link there in the chat window, so you can open this on your computer. You can download it too, but I'll probably be making some changes as we go along. Okay? So, we've got a few people. Fridays are always a little bit quieter, but hopefully there'll be some more people joining us. So, welcome back, Daniel. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. John.
Hello, Mr. Daniel. And let's see if Mr. Johnny's there. Mr. Johnny, are you there?
Hello, John. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, old man.
And the fish.
It was my first English book I read.
Oh, this is Old Man in the Sea?
Yeah.
Or is that Moby Dick?
No.
To be
Tell me
honest,
about that. What's that? Tell us about that picture, Johnny. Is that you when you were a fisherman?
the pictures, it doesn't mean anything, but I just I think I like this picture, so I make it as my profile picture.
It's a good picture.
Yes.
In this picture, who are you? Are you the old man or are you the fish?
I'm the one who's looking at the picture.
Oh, you're not either. Okay.
Not either.
Got it. Well, there's my graphic. There's my picture for backing up the brain. This is a very recent article. I don't know if we'll read the whole thing. We'll see, because I want to talk about it more than read about it, because the article raises lots of very interesting issues. But it's not quite what you would expect, because I did a hot topic a long time ago about immortality, and I've done another one about uploading. I don't remember exactly what it was, but similar idea. But this is a little different. I thought it was interesting. Nobody is claiming in the article that we can become immortal. There is a famous scientist who's been given lots of money to try to work on immortality. There's a lot of drug companies that are working on it because we think we know how to stop the aging process. We think we know how. It's a little bit complicated, but we think it's possible. But this is not what the article is about. We'll get to that in just a second. So let's start with a little discussion. If we go down to... By the way, the original article is there on page 3 if you want to read the whole thing. I've just cut out some major pieces of it. So I want to start with a few questions. I don't know if you've had a similar experience to me, but, well, we'll get to that in the questions. I'll tell you what I mean in just a minute. So let's start with a very innocent question. What is your earliest memory? I know that I can remember when I was younger than 5 because we moved house when I was 5. And I have very clear memories before moving. So I know I can remember back to 4, maybe even 3, I don't know. But very clear memories from the old house. What about the two of you? What's your earliest memory?
When I was 4, I got lost.
Yeah?
Uh, I got lost with a friend. Mm, he was 5, and my mother was about to give birth my brother.
Oh, yeah?
Uh,
Punishment?
the punishment I remember was huge.
What did she do?
She slapped my face.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And when you say she was about to give birth, you mean she was like on her way to the hospital?
No, almost for my brother's birth. Um, mm, one month earlier than I get lost.
Ah, okay. So she wasn't like trying to get to the hospital and then had to look for you.
Yeah, almost. I remember it.
Let's say a quick hello to. You've been here before, but I forgot how to say your name. Is it Old? Ahmed?
Yeah. I'm Ahmed.
Ahmed. You've been
Uh,
here before, I remember.
yeah, sure. That's correct.
Where are you from? Remind me.
I'm originally from Mauritania. I'm living in
Mauritania.
Qatar since
In Qatar.
1994. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you've been here before, but not for a
Yeah.
while. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about a special form of immortality. We're reading an article from the BBC. We're going to and talk about it. A special form of immortality, not biological, but digital. So to get us warmed up on the topic, I'm asking everyone what their earliest memories are. I'm just going to go right down the line. So Daniel, you remember when you were 4? Johnny, do you remember your when you were that age?
I didn't remember the age exactly, but I remember the time when I was in the kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. So you would have been 5 years old, maybe.
5 or 6.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember?
I remember that I was sitting in the middle of the class, and
Right.
my teacher wore glasses, and there was a girl who's sitting beside me,
Ooh,
and
girl.
I
But at that age, you're afraid of girls. Girls are icky.
yes.
And so you remember being in class in kindergarten. You know, I remember that too. I don't remember being in your kindergarten because I'm not from where you're from. But I remember being in my kindergarten. I remember we had to learn how to count. So we had a book with caterpillars, big cartoon caterpillars. And I remember learning how to count, looking at the book, because we had to count how many caterpillars were on the page. So I was 5 years old, and I remember the playground out back. Here's something interesting. Tell me if you have the same experience, all of you. I remember being small. I remember the world being bigger, but really clearly, because I remember that school where I went. It was just a few blocks from my house. And of course I went back there later. Like when I went one time, I was in university and I came home and I stopped by my elementary school. And it was so small, I couldn't believe it. Everything was tiny. I remember a giant swing set, and I remember the playground for recess. And I remember them being big, and the wall that we could like climb up, this big cement wall. And it wasn't a big wall, it was a little wall. You could just put your leg over it. So that was the weird thing. Like the scale, that's what I remember. So my memory is different, you know, than reality. Has that ever happened to you, Ahmed? Do you remember something differently when you go back to it later? Has that happened to you?
Not really. I think no special memory happened in to remember. But if I want, if I understand
If I
what
understand.
if I understand what you mean, I think that the memory which stick in my mind, it was in maybe 1978, I think.
Oh, I remember that year.
Yeah.
That was a good year. That was
Yeah.
the year after Star Wars came out in the movie theater, because I saw Star Wars in the movie theater.
Sorry?
That was the year after Star Wars, the movie, came out, because I remember seeing that with my brother when I was really young. So I remember that year well. Good year, 1978.
Sure.
So what happened?
I was in my grandmother and her friends, and they was working something to work to do something. And I was read something what I want not to read, and the girl the lady which friend my mother my grandmother.
The lady who was
He was, he was a friend of my grandmother. Tried to punish me because I didn't care about my reading or my learning like that. And when I tried to escape, because I know that she will punish me. Suddenly, some 3 or 4 airplane went through our roof.
So three or four what? Airplanes?
Airplane. You know.
Crashed into your house?
No. Only. Yeah.
But flew over. Got it.
Yeah, but their screaming or their sound is very, very loud.
Be careful. Is or was? We're talking about the past.
Was very loud, loud. And this is through 3 or 4 airplane. When I when I become a person who knows something about the life, I knew that 3 or 4 airplane was participate in a sub-Sahara war, which happening in that period, because you know in the between Morocco and Mauritania, we have some tribe here in this area had some problem or some war to separate to shape a new country, you know.
Right. No, I don't know actually. I just know about Angola because America was involved, which is not sub-Sahara, but I just know about those countries because America was involved. You know, it was a big international problem. I don't know about that area.
You know,
I've been to Morocco, but not that far south.
If you want went to south, there is a big problem happening in south of Morocco, because there is an area, this area called Sahara.
The Sahara Desert, of course.
Sahara Desert, yeah. Sahara Desert, there are some tribe which demand or ask for ask to make or to make their country in their own country,
to form
because
their own,
to form their own country.
Exactly.
And Morocco and Mauritania not help that.
Right.
But Algeria want that, you know.
It's complicated, you know? Down there.
Yeah, complicating. The thing is useful here only that those 3 airplanes came from that area.
Right. And it's a strong memory for you from that age.
Yeah, because this lady will punish me, you know.
Right. So
and maybe kick me out of life, you know.
You should write about this, Ahmed.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Sure. It reminds me of a scene from a movie, you know. It reminds me from several movies, but you know, sometimes in movies you have, you know, characters don't always say what they feel. But there's a scene from, for example, you know, a classic movie like The Godfather, where there's a train going over the restaurant, right? When the main character, he's got to do something serious. Michael Corleone has to kill someone to revenge his father, and there's a elevated train going over the restaurant. You don't see it, but everything's shaking. So it kind of reminds me of that, because it was a traumatic experience, and then suddenly you have these jets going over. You know, it must have been sort of like how you were feeling, this loud sound, you know?
Yeah.
Like you wanted to scream. Oh, it's very... You should write a book. Write a book, Ahmed. Well, listen, I want to bring us back to the digital immortality issue, because the second question here is kind of like what I was talking about, the playground. Did you ever look at a picture from a time or an event that you remember, like look at a picture when you were in grade school, and suddenly realize that your memory is completely different than what actually happened? Do you take photographs for artistic or personal reasons? Why do we take photographs? I want you to think about these questions for a moment. We're going to go back to them in a second. But let's go to our article, because I want to read this article in the next 15 or 20 minutes. We have plenty of time to talk about it. And let's think about those questions about why we take photographs in the first place. And it'll come up in the article, as you'll see. So if you go down to page 5, and one thing, this quote is kind of important too. It could change our relationship with death, providing some noise where there is only silence. Aaron Sunshine, eterni.me user. The article is partly about this guy who started a company, Etern.me, Etern.me. And the it is referring to this service that he's created. So we'll get back to this quote. You're going to tell me what you think he means after we've read a little bit. All right? So let's see how far we can get with the article in the next 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll start to have a discussion. Daniel, can you start us off? By the way, there's a lot of difficult words here, so don't get hung up on the details, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
A few months before she died, my grandmother made a decision. Bobby, as her friends called her, there is a generation of nicknames. Was a farmer's wife who not only survived World War II, but also found in it justification for her natural hoarding talent. Want note was a principle she lived by
She
long
lived?
she lived by long after England recovered from a war that left it buck, buckle,
Huh? Buckled? Left it buckled?
buckled west.
Buckled is like when something is not smooth anymore. Like wood can buckle if it gets wet. Buckled.
Buckled and wasted. So
Wasted.
wasted.
Mhm.
So she kept old envelopes and bits of cardboard cereal boxes for note taking and lists. She kept frayed blankets and musty blouses from the 1950s, in case she needed material to mend. By extension, she was also a meticulous chronicler. She kept albums of photographs of her family members. She kept the airmail love letters my late grandfather sent her while he traveled the world with the merchant navy in a box. Her home was filled with the debris of her memories.
Debris.
Debris,
Because it's
French
we,
word.
yeah, when we use French words, we sometimes keep the same pronunciation. And okay, there's an important word here besides debris, which is hoarding. Now it's a TV show, so everyone knows hoarding. You know what hoarding is?
No.
There's a TV show, The Hoarders. Someone see that? It's in American. Only in America can you have this. It's impossible anywhere else. Hoarders is about people who save everything to the point where they can't even.
Mental issues.
Yeah, but it's a TV series too, so there's lots of people like this. And I'm telling you, maybe it's just me, but I can't imagine this being a psychological problem anywhere in the world except America. Who could live with all that junk in their house? And I've never seen the TV show. I've seen some clips from it, but when I say people save everything, I mean everything. Like pets who have died, they're being saved. Food that's gone rotten. I mean, it's unbelievable. So here, the grandmother is not a hoarder, okay? But that word is there, and I put a link to it. World War II was the justification for her natural hoarding talent. In other words, she just learned to keep everything because in the war they had nothing. So she's not really a hoarder, but she's someone who likes to keep things. So that's a little bit about the grandmother. Well, let's find out a little bit. Well, I think I cut out the next paragraph. We're going to get back to the grandmother. What else did I want to ask you? She was also a meticulous chronicler. So what does that mean, Daniel? She was a meticulous chronicler. Meticulous.
She did her work with all details.
That's true. Meticulous is like showing lots of details. You can see it here. Taking or showing extreme care in minute details. But a chronicler, this might not be clear in the text. A chronicler is someone who writes a chronicle. What do people write? Not writers, but normal people. What do people normally write in? Especially
in a diario. I don't know in English.
Diary.
Diary. Okay.
That's absolutely right. By the way, Ahmed, the link is right here, right there, so you can click on it in the chat window. Okay. And if you don't see it, I'll put it there in the internal.
Now okay, now I saw it.
It was in the VerbLink chat. So yes, Daniel. In other words, she wrote everything down in a diary. So not just things, but memories. And not just memories, but photographs of her family. And she kept the love letters that my late grandfather sent to her while she traveled the world. Her home was filled with the debris of her memory. Let me ask you a question. Johnny, let me ask this one to you. She kept the photographs of her late husband, right? Well, what happens when she passes away? What happens to the photographs? What do you think, Johnny? If she were your grandmother, what would you do with the photographs?
So if I were the grandmother, I will pass it to my grandchildren.
Right. So let's imagine that your grandmother gives you 2 boxes of photographs of her late husband, your grandfather. What would you do with the photographs? Would you keep them?
So nowadays I will put it into DVD or maybe just like put it online.
Exactly. Put it into a DVD and forget about it, right? So
Yes.
here's the question, Johnny. That's exactly what I wanted to know. Here's the question for all of you, too. If we're just going to put it in a DVD and probably look at it once and that's it, why are we putting it into the DVD? Why are we saving it? What's the purpose? What do you think, Johnny? Why would you just not throw them away? Why would you save them?
To pass it to next generation to keep
But
it.
but they don't know those people. So you see what I'm saying?
I will remind them.
Okay, but I'm saying eventually, so your kids might not have any experience with their grandparents. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, right? But your grandkids certainly won't. Your great grandkids, 100% sure, will never have met them. So what I'm saying is, tell me if you agree or disagree with this statement. Once we lose the connection with the real person, those images mean nothing anymore. They serve no purpose. So why do we keep passing them on? Maybe, do we want something else? I mean, why are we doing it? That's the question that I think is being raised, partly. As we read this, think about that.
We think that that may be more meaningful for our family. So I want to keep. Maybe I won't look at the pictures, but maybe my grandchildren or next generation, then they will. They want to discover and explore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that the reason? Or is it because you want to feel that these people are important to you and you want them to feel important about them too? So you see what I'm saying? Is it a psychological issue for us, the living, or is it something really important for future generations? I think there's a question being raised here. Anyway, let's think about that. And Johnny, take it away. Next paragraph.
Okay. Humans have, since the first paintings scratched on cave walls, sought to confound the final vanishing of memory. Oral history, diary, memoir, photograph, photograph, film and poetry, all tools in humanity's arsenal in the war against time's whitewash. Today, we bank our memories.
Arsenal is like weapons. Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay. Arsenal. Today, we bank our memories onto the internet and enigmatic servers. Those humming vaults tucked away in the cooling climate of the far north or south. There's the Facebook timeline that records our most significant life events, the Instagram account on which we store our likeness, the Gmail inbox that documents our conversations, and the YouTube channel that broadcasts how we move, talk, or sing. We collect and curate our memories more thoroughly than ever before. In every case, grasping for a certain kind of immortality.
Do you agree with that? Do you think we're grasping for immortality? We have all these new apps. We have social media. We've got a timeline on Facebook. Is that what we're looking for?
Yes, I partially agree.
Partially?
That's what, yes.
Why
Because we
partially?
just want to remember what happens in that day.
Right.
So that's why the people they put in on their timeline on Facebook.
But is it important to remember everything? I mean, why are we not happy with the memory? And why
It's not important to remember everything, but I think it's important to remember something significant thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet we have so many tools to record everything. That's the interesting thing. Okay, now we're going to go to the actual company that was made. Okay, so take it away, Ahmed.
Mm-hmm.
See where we are?
Okay. But I think before that, can I
Yes, go
try
ahead.
to add something about the last paragraph?
Sure.
I think that as we are all under threat of the death, we try to keep some our memories in the next generation, and for that reason we try to keep all of our thing in safe line
In a
to
safe place.
safe place
Mhm.
to post it for next generation, and that happened before before this social media or like that happen in the many things in everything like poet and maybe history, and now we try to change that to
Yeah.
this kind of social media like Instagram or Facebook, to make some physical saving.
Right. I
Not
mean, but poetry is a good example because that's it's a personal memory. And this
yeah.
is not a memory. This is actual recording. It's
Mhm.
it's it's like we're trying to preserve actual things and experiences rather than give a reflection about it. So
Yeah.
do you think this is a good trend, or do you think it's a negative trend in some way? I mean, this movement to recording and saving.
I think that's very useful for next generation because they try they help them to 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 sh- to c- to form any photo or
Image. To form an
any image,
image.
yeah, any image about the last period,
Hmm?
you know.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's something I think very useful for next generation, and even for the person who saved that kind of memories.
Hmm.
He tried to I don't know, to try to say I am exist, even he already dead, you
Right,
know.
right, right. Which is ironic.
uh,
I exist, even though I'm dead.
yeah.
But uh, but but again, we have to. The question is, what are we really gaining by recording? Are the people seeing these images? They have no connection to them. So is it the same? Are we really getting an accurate picture of the past? Well, let's think about that.
Hmm.
Ahmed, go on to this carbon copy. Let's find out about Aaron Sunshine's company and what it's trying to do for us. Okay?
Okay, okay, sure. San Franciscan Aaron Sunshine's grandmother also passed away recently. One thing that struck me is how little of her is left. The 30-year-old tells me it's just a few possessions.
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 Good.
I have an old shirt of hers that I wear around the house. There's her property, but
Property.
property, but that's just face, faceless, faceless,
Faceless money. Faceless.
faceless, faceless money. It has no more personality than any other dollar bill. Her death inspired Sunshine to sign up with Attorney Me.
I see.
A
Yeah, I think
web
it's eternity. Like
Atter-
it's a joke on the word eternity. So it's eternity or eternity.me. Eternity.
Attorney point, dot me.
Yeah.
A web service that seeks to ensure that a person's memories are preserved after their death online.
So
It
so
okay.
what does eternity specialize in? Let's just be clear. What does the company do? Let's be clear about that. According to what you read, what do you think? What do you think the company will do?
Uh,
We don't know
I
the
think
details yet, but what do you think?
and I didn't I I didn't know what it makes.
I'm not sure. I'm
I'm
not
not
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel, what do you think? What do you think Eternity is going to do?
When you pass away,
Mhm.
I think Facebook, Twitter,
Right.
send out your account, no?
Right.
Disappear your account, and
Yeah.
maybe with this website try to keep you alive
Yeah.
on the net. All your entries or remembers or pictures or mails, I don't know.
So when you
It's
die, you're not erased. So let's find out. I'm going to do the next section, and then you tell me if there's any questions, then I'll turn it back to Daniel, to Johnny, and then we'll probably go to a discussion after that. So it works like this. While you're alive, you grant the service access to your Facebook, Twitter, email accounts, upload photos, geolocation history, and even Google Glass recordings of things you have seen. The data is collected, filtered, and analyzed before it's transferred to an AI, artificial intelligence, an AI avatar that tries to emulate your looks and personality. The avatar learns more about you as you interact with it while you're alive. With the aim of more closely reflecting you as time progresses. What's an avatar, everyone? Don't tell me a movie by James Cameron. What is Avatar?
avatar is could be a picture who says something about you.
Yeah,
It's your representation in front of people on internet.
right. It's your picture, your representation, how you like to be symbolized, right? So Johnny is an old man spearing a fish. That's Johnny's avatar. The rest of you
That's
have
my
your faces
avatar.
there.
I want to do a feedback about this last sentence.
Uh-huh.
There's a TV series from England called Black Mirror.
Black
Black
Bureau.
Black Mirror, yes. Every episode is a different story. One of them is about this. It's a sci-fi
Uh-huh.
by a software. They invent they recreate
Recorded?
record a person who pass away,
Uh-huh.
and by his Facebook, his Twitter,
Right.
his everything. Then they call by phone, and then by Skype his wife, as is really is a robot, but making by made by his memories on internet. It's interesting.
And what happens? So he calls his wife, well, not the real him, but the simulation calls his wife?
Yes, his wife is all day speaking, talking to him
Mm-hmm.
because he is pregnant, and he's isolate or isolate in the
She's pregnant, right? You
she's
said
pregnant, and she's living in the middle of the country,
she's isolated.
isolated.
Ah,
She feel alone,
right.
and this is the way to believe that his husband didn't pass away.
Hmm.
It's
I've seen
interesting.
I've seen this scenario in many movies and sci-fi stories, where you've got this thing, a simulation that can interact with you, but it's not really the person, but it walks, talks, and speaks just like you. I've seen this quite a few times.
In
And
the in the near future, I think they could be mm, they could work.
well, that's what the article is all about, how to actually make it happen.
Mm.
So the company exists. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there. There's a company that's taking volunteers to go to Mars. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means that there's a company that sells real estate on the moon. I'm not joking. You can actually buy plots on the moon. You can give them money, and they will literally sell you a space on the moon. But that doesn't mean you're ever really going to own part of the moon. It's just you can give your money to anyone. So the company exists. I don't know if it's really going to happen, but that's the idea. Just like the TV show. If you interact, see, the trick here is that you're not dead yet. If you interact with it while you're alive, and you give it all your memories in social media, it will become you, and it'll be able to interact with your next generation ancestors, kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and forever. That's the idea. Let's see. Maybe we have time to read just a bit more. I'm just going to do the rest of this part, and then I'm going to get to at least one more idea about how they could make this a reality. So I'm going to do this, and we'll go back to you, Daniel. Okay, so it's about creating an interactive legacy, a way to avoid being totally forgotten in the future, says Marcus Orsach, or Orsake, I don't know how to say his name. Marius, sorry. Marius Orsak, I guess it's Orsak. One of, I don't know where he's from, I don't know what his nationality is, one of Eterna.me's co-creators. Your grandchildren will use it instead of a search engine or a timeline to access information about you, from photos of family events, to your thoughts on certain topics, to songs you wrote but never published. For Sunshine, that's the guy we read about whose grandmother died. For Sunshine, the idea that he might be able to interact with the legacy avatar of his grandmother that reflected her personality and values is comforting. I dreamt about her last night, he says. Right now, in a dream, is the only way I can talk to her. But what if there was a simulation? She would somehow be less gone from my life. Okay, so that's one way. Let's read about one more way. So we're back to you, Daniel, for Total Recall.
Total recall. What if, rather than simply picking and choosing what we want to capture in digital form, it was possible to record the contents of a mind in their entirety?
Entirety.
entirety.
Good.
In their entirety, this work is neither science fiction nor the niche pursuit of unreasonable, ambitious scientists. Theoretically, the process would require three key breakthroughs. Scientists must first discover how to preserve, non-destructively, someone's brain upon their death. Then the content of the preserved brain must be analyzed and captured. Finally, that capture of the person's mind must be recreated on a simulated human brain.
Simulated.
Simulated human brain.
So what's the difference between the total recall method and the Eternit.me method? Is that clear?
It's a biological difference.
It is. So the difference is, first is digital, the second is biological, and basically, to sum it up, what are we doing in total recall? What's the biological part that we're doing that we're not doing with Eternit.me? Can you give us the short answer? It's biological how, Daniel?
Because they want to capture your memories from your brain.
So you're gonna get a brain scan.
Brain scan, or maybe plug in plug in something in your
something. Well,
Yeah.
actually, if you read it, they talk about scanning, and there's a lot of issues that come along with that. So we got method 1. Recreate you by all the artifacts that you leave behind online, photographs, social media, etc. Method 2, the total recall method, scan your brain. But we have no idea how to do that yet. Well, we have an idea, but apparently it's not quite ready. Johnny, keep going.
Okay. First, we must create an artificial human brain on which a backup of a human's memories would be able to run. Work in the area is widespread. MIT runs a course on the emergent science of connections.
Connectomics.
Connectomics. The work to create a comprehensive map of the connection in a human brain. The US Brain Project is working to record brain activity from millions of I don't know how to say this word.
For millions of where are you?
Neurons.
Neurons. Right.
Neurons. Okay. Millions of neurons, while the EU Brain Project tries to build integrated models from this activity. Andrew Sapir from the Future of Humanity Institute at Oxford University, who in 2008 wrote a paper titled Whole Brain Emulation, a Roadmap, describes these projects as stepping stones towards being able to emulate the human brain.
Fully able to emulate the human brain. So that's a bit about total recall. I want to read one more excerpt, and then you can read this article or the original, because this is slightly shorter than the original. You can read it on your own, and we're probably going to have a follow-up class where we get to, because the discussion is, there's too many issues to talk about in 10 minutes. So let's look at one more. Let me give you an overview. So, Ahmed, I want you to start with memory dump. So this is another way that we might achieve this. So we're down there on the top, middle of page 9, memory dump.
Yeah. Page 9. Okay.
Yep.
Memory
dump.
Emulating a human brain is one thing, but creating a digital record of a human's memories is a different sort of challenge. Sandberg is s- cynical
Cynical,
i-
right?
is cynical of whether this simplistic process is viable.
In this case,
Memory
it's actually viable.
is viable, yeah.
Viable
Memory,
means able to happen. Viable, able to achieve.
yeah, yeah. Viable. Memories are not neatly stored like files on a computer to create a searchable index, he says. Memory consists of networks of associations that are activated when we remember. A brain would
Emulation.
emulation would require a copy of them all.
Um, Actually, there's one more. So that's just talking about the problems of the emulation, which is a continuation of the next part. Actually, there's another issue I wanted to get to, and then we'll have a little discussion here. Okay, so we've talked, I guess, about two ways of doing this. Oh wait, maybe not. Maybe not. Hold on. Let me just double check. Emulation, by the way, I can put a quick link to that. Emulation is another way to say a recreation or simulation. So you emulate, you copy. So it's a copy. Give me a second here. All right. And the last thing we'll take a quick look at here is property laws. Ownership of specific memories is where things become complex. So this is one of the experts that talks about emulations. In a memoir, which is a book, in a memoir, you can choose which memories are recorded. But if you don't have the power of which of your memories others can inspect, it becomes a rather different question. Is a human right to be able to keep secrets? Is it a human right to be able to keep secrets? These largely uninterrogated questions also begin to touch on more fundamental issues of what it means to be human. Would an emulated brain be considered human? And if so, does the humanity exist in the memories or in the hardware on which the simulated brain runs? Well, there's a question for you. If it's the latter, if it's the hardware, there's the question of who owns the hardware, an individual, a corporation, or the state. If an uploaded mind requires certain software to run, a hypothetical Google brain, for example, the ownership of the software license could become contentious. Contentious means everyone would dispute it, or it's the possible that everyone would dispute it. Contentious. I contend that it belongs to me. I believe it belongs to me. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the issue, because it's kind of a big article. Let's talk about it, and I think what I'm going to do is schedule a follow-up class where we can really go more in depth, because there's so much here, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so first of all, we can go back to our original question of why we take photographs and the difference between a photograph and a memory. This is like a big photograph, don't you think? So we've got two possibilities here. We back you up digitally, and we create an avatar that learns how to be you. Or we try to scan your brain, and there needs to be some kind of hardware that you run the you program on. So, what do you think? I don't even know how to begin asking the questions. What do you think? Do you think, let's imagine that it's possible. What issues does this raise? What issues does it raise? They talked about whether or not the you that's created is a real person. For example, I am also curious about the original question, which is about why we need to record so much. Why, when you have a photograph, isn't it, it's nothing wrong with photographs, but isn't the memory more important than the photograph? If you lose the person, you lose the context. Don't you lose the meaning? So, what do you think about these issues in general, class?
I don't. Everybody has secrets, and
Secrets and lies.
yeah, and I think the way to upload all your brain in in a hard drive, maybe it could be a problem because your family can be a picture of you in
My
a
God, Daniel, what do you have to hide? I've got
uh,
nothing to hide. What do you have to hide? What are you hiding, Daniel? What are you hiding from your family? So the point is that maybe it's more information that people need to know.
yeah. I think picture and videos is enough.
So you're going to go for method one. You think that if you got to do this, we'll go with the Facebook, Twitter, video picture, the Eterna.me method, because that's not your thoughts, it's your artifacts. So you'd be okay with that.
Yes. I
Do you
don't
think
like the second way. I don't like it. I don't agree.
would you sign up for an account at Eterna.me if it was, let's say it was free? Would you do it?
What?
Would you sign up for an account at Eterni.me, the company? Would you go through with it if it was
Yeah.
affordable or free?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We'd have virtual Daniel. What about you, Johnny? Which method would you choose? Which one do you think is the better, or would you choose none?
I choose the second one. Second
Why?
one,
You like the brain scan, really?
brain scanner.
Yeah, the second one is the brain scan.
Which one is it? Talk to the simulated human brain, something like that. They simulated the human's brain, and then they can talk to them directly.
Well, you're going to end up with a simulation in both cases. But in the second case, you could be sort of like a robot. So they would maybe create some hardware that you're loaded onto. And in the first case, you're a virtual avatar. In the second case, you might be something more robotic.
Okay.
Maybe.
And maybe, yeah.
But in the second case, they scan your brain. So that means they find that, of course, they can't do this yet. If you read the article, they talk about doing it, that they've been able to, well, actually, hang on a second. They've been able to do two things. You'll see in the article if you read the rest. They've been able to scan a mouse's brain, but not all of it, parts of it, small parts, successfully, and it was difficult. They've also been able to replace part of a mouse's brain and have the mouse live a relatively normal life. They've been able to replace the hippocampus, which is what helps you form memories in the first place, helps you create a rhythm. So the sleeping, when you sleep, when you're awake, cause circadian rhythms. So they've been able to do a little bit of this. But the problem is, it seems like if they scan your brain, if they're able to do it someday, they're going to know everything. And do you think that?
I don't want to do it. I don't want my brain to be scanned.
You and Daniel have a lot to hide, it seems.
We are hiding our happiness.
And Ahmed, what about you? Would you choose option 1, option 2, or neither?
No, I think I choose option 2.
Me too.
Mm.
Why? I'm the brain scan man. Me too. What about you? Why? Why do you think
Yeah,
it's better?
I think the good way to remember things, even you didn't have the ability to stock uh, any image or anything in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what I want to say. I think it's sorry.
I was going to say that maybe there's another reason, which is that it's more of you. If you're able to scan your brain, it's not a representation in a way. It's almost you because it's everything. You're not hiding anything. So theoretically, of course. So isn't that better than just a snapshot, just a picture? Isn't that better? I think so. Of course, it's going to be things that you maybe don't want to say to people, but so what? I mean, we have to accept ourselves for who we are. Wouldn't it force you to accept people have to accept you, and you have to accept yourself for the good and the bad. So I think it's a good thing.
Maybe.
I want everyone to know my secrets. Well, listen, everyone. We're at the end of the hour. I think we've got a lot to talk about. So I'm going to schedule this a follow-up for next Friday because that's the next Hot Topics class. So we're not going to read the article. You're going to read it on your own. But maybe I can add a smaller second article that's related to this because there's a lot of areas we could go. But we're going to work with these ideas, and I've got a few activities for you to try. And we're going to pick up some of the key language that we've learned in the article and use it in the activities. Does that sound okay with everyone if we do this again next Friday?
Sure.
That's one. Johnny, Daniel, do you agree? Is that all right?
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I couldn't schedule a second class at this hour for some reason. I don't know why, but this week I could only do 1 hour. So anyway, next Friday at the same time, I'll write a note for everyone who's participating to read the article before, the one that we started to read today, and I'll try to add maybe something else to give us another perspective. But we're going to spend most of the time talking about it using some of what we learned to do an activity, and we'll explore the topic more. I've got some good discussion questions at the bottom of the document too. You can start to think about them and read them on page where it says discussion. I think it's on page 12. You can take a look at those as well. All right, everyone. So I'll be back Monday at 9 GMT for pronunciation practice. Come in and practice your pronunciation. At 10 for the business class, we'll be finishing up our unit on facts and figures. And next Friday at 9 GMT for the follow-up to Back Up Your Brain. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye for
Bye.
now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.